Cobra called it graduation. Big Boa called it opportunity. Dust in the wind, boots on the move. Vipers in formation, got something to prove. Big Boa up front with them gloves on tight, teaching young snakes how to pick the wrong fight. They hit a research site under midnight light, steel doors, cold halls, bad intentions in his eyes. Recruits want medals, want stripes, want fame, but Boa wants something that'll change his name. He don't need a squad, he don't need a plenty, needs one shot in his veins and a world in his hands, and he's smiling like a champion. Before the bell rings, especially the dog. He don't bark, he don't bluff. Big Boa wanted power, but it ain't enough. You can juice up your fists, you get hard in your skin, but when the canine hits, that's the end. Slips inside while the rookies take heed of the jewels outside, putting snakes in retreat. He moves through the lab like a thief in a church, looking for the answer in a needle and a curse. Prototype injector in a locked glass case. Bo cracks that seal with a grin on his face. One shot, no hesitation, no fear, no doubt. That's how a monster gets built from the inside out. He drops it and he breathes it deep, he starts to shake. Muscles like steel, cables, veins like snakes. And he laughs in the mirror like, yeah, this is me. Then a voice behind him says, MP. Especially the dog, he don't bark, he don't bluff. Big Boa wanted power, but it ain't enough. You can juice up your fist, you can harden your skin, but when the canine hits, that's the end. What? You were expecting Rocky Balboa. Swings first, ball crack, lights dial. One glove's red, one glove's mean. Pain in his eyes, order hits low, law, hold the line. No fear in the dark, no step behind. Boys feeling strong, but he's losing control. They tell him don't give you a heart, it takes your soul. And when that hallway echoes when the final growl, you learn one more to meet right now. Especially the dog, he don't bark, he don't bluff. Use up your fist, you can harden your skin, but when the canine hits, that's the end. That's especially the dog. Yeah, especially the dog. Give you a
Mature content warning. On Logan's Joe Takes, strategic commentary may include strong language, heated opinions, classified references. Time to call in the Joes. Opposing forces may attempt audio interference. Logan's Joe Takes. Mission begins now.
Greetings, I'm Logan the G.I. Joe Gamer, and welcome to Joe Takes 76, where we got the final matchup of this season, which is kind of the end of, we got a new season starting for you in June. End of June, it's going to be a lot of fun. Got a big summer plan for Joe Takes, but today we've got this episode and one more, and then we'll take a little bit of a break from Joe Takes because I got a lot of stuff to set up for summer. But today we got a mashup between these two 1987 characters, Law and Order versus Big Bullet. We're going to take a look at Big Bullet a little later, but let's look at these two guys right here. Hey, this is Law. He's the G.I. Joe MP. Now, I always thought this was a pretty cool character. My favorite of that year, actually. Let me take this battle stand off before it falls off. And he looks like a dedicated MP. Came with an M16, a lot like Mutt did back in the 84 series. But he came with a nightstick, which is what a MP would come with. I dig this helmet. Now, this is important because see how his hair is? It's kind of a brownish color. That's going to come into play here in a little bit. But I dig that it says MP on his helmet, and also says MP on his. It normally says MP on his sleeve right here, but mine's worn off. And I'll show you some other examples of it on some of the other Law figures that I have, because I have 3 total to share with you besides the classified figure. Now, let's take a look at order. I actually am going to do a comparison of all 3 of these smaller sized orders that I have. And as I do each one, I'm going to take the collars off so you can get a better look at each dog. Now, this is the original, and I love the black down the back and all the way down the tail, right under the chin, like he's got a beard. It's pretty cool. And then the underside, very cool looking dog for back in the day. Now, I never can remember the name of these, the type of dog used by police, and usually it comes right out. Belgian Malinois and German Shepherds, more the Belgian Malinois because they're a little bit more easy to train than a German Shepherd. Sometimes German Shepherds can be a little rough. Now, on these collars, this one I got inside out for some reason. I must have done it inside out because you need to have. I was wondering why it wasn't working earlier, because I had it backwards and it's been trained to go that way. So I'm gonna have to retrain it so that when it loops around like this, it can catch on these little notches right here. Each, if you can see that, there's little notches all the way around, and so you can tighten up the collar. And so these collars are pretty cool. I'm going to say hi to my friends in the chat. We had somebody pop in way early, like 1:45 a.m. Hello, Minalita. I'm butchering that. I'm sorry, but welcome. If you're rocking with us today, that's cool. But we got Cool Gamer and Zilla, Superior Cyber Godzilla. How you guys doing? You guys like to rock with me all the time, and I appreciate it. It's good to see you guys. Let's get back to this. Now, I'm going to slowly take these accessories out to show you them one at a time, because later on we're going to be doing a mashup. Let me see what I'm going to see if I can get this done so you can see it. He's got just a standard Mac 10. I think is what they call this. It's very much like an Uzi, but not an Uzi. It's a standard submachine gun. And I could totally be wrong about the name of it. I'm just that way. But I always thought the nightstick was cool. Now, for my other 2 figures, I lost the nightstick for both of them. But the second one had a nightstick that looked just like this. The other one is the same mold, just in a really chromish gray color. So I'll be looking at those in a minute. But if you check out this uniform, this dude's got, he's got the vest, he's got the holster molded on right there with a pistol. He's got his badge right there. He's got his comms going on over here on this side. And oh, there it is. It does say MP right there. I thought it still said MP right there. There we go. And you know, and then he's got the handcuffs on the back. Now I wish he'd had like a loop or something to slip his nightstick in, but we'll talk more about that in a minute. I'm gonna set him down here. Then we'll look at the next one. I'm gonna go ahead and start with order, so I can take this collar off, this leash, as it were. This version of order has a little bit of white on him. It's the same. It's supposed to be the same dog, but because they made them all look different, this one's all set up the way it is. Got the loops on it. This one was done upright. I'm gonna keep the accessories separate here. Now, still got the black on the back, and still got the, look at the teeth they did. It's so much better on this one. This is this one came out in original was 1987. This one came out in the year 2000, and was not the second Law. They came out with they came out with another version of Law that was the same for the Sonic Fighters, same mold. And then they came out with another one with a weird mold in like 93 or 94. I think it was 93. And I just never, it didn't come with, neither one of them came with order. And I'm like, well, I want the dog, you know, you got to have the dog. But this version of Law, oh my goodness, I dig the color scheme on this guy. I thought this is why I was looking for the MP on the side, because there it is right there. And you've got his Uzi. See how the Uzi is, it's got that grayish chrome color. This one actually came with a black nightstick. It was weird, but he's got, it's the same mold, same figure, just different colors. Very nice. This one's really good condition, because, you know, by that point I was working and not really playing with my action figures as much as I used to as a kid. Now I'm going to take the third one. We've got another order. Looks a lot more like the original, and the collar is, now the difference between these the first Law and the second Law I showed you was I think this was actually a Crocmaster collar for his Gator. The way they set this up, and actually it worked out a lot better to grip the handle, for the character to grip a hold of it. But yeah, this one has the more rounded loop, and so does this third one. It went back to that, but the plastic is not as malleable. It's not as soft. It's a harder plastic. And in order to get this off, I gotta pop it over the loop. There we go. Man, get this off of order. See, but once you snap it over the thing, then you can just slide it up and tighten it up on the dog. But what you don't want to do, this would definitely not be the proper way to put a collar on a dog or a leash. Now, but you know, it was toys. It was, you know, back in the day. The color scheme on this guy, he came out in 2009 as part of a 5-pack attack on the pit. It was pretty cool. He was like security for the pit. He's only dedicated MP for the G.I. Joe team, as a matter of fact. And oh yeah, I wanted to take the helmet off this guy and show you how his hair is definitely brown on both of those two. And the other one that came out for Sonic Fighters, I'm not sure, because I never had that figure, but I don't see why it would have been. You know, they did a lot of different colors on that though. But here is the Rise of Cobra MP version of, like I said, MP on the helmets on all of them. But yet again, here we go, brown hair. And I'm going to show you why that's important, that he has brown hair, because of the new figure. Now, in G.I. Joe, the animated movie, they had Law was in that. That was the only animated version of Law, with the exception of G.I. Joe Renegades, which is an entirely different version of Law. Same character, but they animated them very differently. And Renegades is just a vastly superior cartoon to just about anything. But G.I. Joe the movie was good, and they gave him a Latino accent, which they didn't do in Renegades. He had just a regular American accent. Now, that is going to take us to the box of the classified, because I want to look at the figure last. And we'll do that. But this was a deluxe set, and so many accessories in this, and I'll show them to you in just a bit. Then you've got that crap on the side. Nothing really going on the top. He's number 157 in the series. Yeah, they were over 200 now, so that's where we're at. And this year, they finally are bringing out my favorite characters. So I'll be finally, as far as I'm concerned, happy with my collection if they ever stop doing the line, which I hope they don't, because I really love the classified series. But there's the side art of this box. So good. Very good artwork on Order and Law. And I don't know why they went with the color scheme on this Law. I mean, he looks so much like the original. And I will, after I show this guy to you, compare him. But the vest is completely different, which I like. This is more of a tactical vest. It still has the badge. It still has the comms right there. The more detail on this is just awesome. And then you've got his Mac 10, which I'll break out and show you in just a bit. And he came with a combat knife, but no place to put it. So I'm going to set this over here out of the way. And he's got his nightstick and a spot to hold it. He can hold everything on the figure except for the combat knife. And you'd think they could have given him a boot sheath. And I've heard other people complain about this and when I've watched other reviews on this character. But he also comes with a set of handcuffs that you can take out and one that is molded in, which is kind of cool because then you can use one set and then have one for display. And I like how the wire comes down. This is just such a cool setup for this character. Very cool. But on his, give you a closer look there. And in the video, you can see it a little bit better, I think. It says MPN K9, and then below it, it says military police. And then, of course, naturally, it says MP on the helmet. Now, let me show you what they did here. They made him a ginger, and I don't get it, but, you know, they did. They made him a ginger. And he looks cool, but, you know, here's the original. Very much looking very similar. And they did a really outstanding job on making him look the same except for the red hair. And I don't mind the red hair. It's just different. And it's like, why did they go with that? You know, when the original definitely had brown hair. And they gave him a Latino accent in the animated series, but not the Renegades, in the animated movie, but not the Renegades TV series. Just had an American accent. But he was from Texas. So, you know, he could have even had a little bit of an accent, you know, like Dusty does. But, you know, they didn't go that route. And he could have gone, he could be Latino living in Texas. But they made him an all-American boy. And we'll listen to his file card in a little bit because I do have a good file card video for you. And set him aside over here while we look at Order. They had him come with a harness that does not come off, which I don't like. I wish it could have snapped on and off from the bottom. It wouldn't have been that difficult to do. They could have had a little strap here in the front so that it comes off and snaps here and snaps here. That wouldn't have been that hard. He does have an articulated tail. He does have articulated feet and legs. I mean, this is an incredible looking dog. And he is the Malinois, whatever. Yeah, I just can't remember that. I've tried to several times and it's rough. But yeah, you can put stuff on the harness. There's peg holes so you can peg stuff in on both sides so you can carry stuff. The harness can be connected so you can lift him up on the Dragonfly with the hook. But I don't have the Dragonfly. I wish I did have the classified Dragonfly. That thing would be awesome. I do have 3 versions of the Dragonfly in the vintage line though. But yeah, there's the happy doggo face, and he's got a mean doggo face for when he's attacking. Roof. Yeah, see, awesome. I mean, they did just a great job on making this look good. And I you know what, I'm gonna do it. He does have the collar too, with the handle on the harness. So you know, you can pose him in all sorts of different things. And I did in my on Joe Takes 76 video, which I will show at the end of the video near the outro. And there's his mean face on the dog. He also came with these mixed so it dims his eyesight, I think. Like he's got a little visor and a little, it goes right over. And I'll show you the example on here because you can't put this on when it's on the dog for some reason, because you got to stretch it over the ears and then pop it down over the head. Now, and I'll show you what that looks like when it's back on the dog. So yeah, we got, you know, heads that we can, it's not, there we go. Oh, there we go. Get that good old snap. You know, you popped it in the right place. And there's what it looks like with the visor and the I think it's just to make it so that when the dog is ready, he's calm. It's like he's kenneled, as it were. So that's one of the terms. I've got some really cool stuff to talk about but I'm going to do that after we go over Big Boa and look at the file cards. I'm going to do just a little small segment on obedience training and the hand signals and all the different hands that that came with Law and Order. And here they are together, matching them up. You know, he did not come with a leash, but he has the harness and a collar, and because canines don't use them. Hello, Betty. Welcome in, Betty. We appreciate you being here. Talking some G.I. Joe tonight. Doing a mashup. The featured G.I. Joe tonight is our MP and K9, Law and Order. Now this harness, you guys got MP, K9 right there. Good stuff. I mean, this is such a cool figure. It's nice to see you, Betty. Everybody, check everybody else's channels out that's in the chat. We've got a lot of good folks in the chat, and we appreciate you being here. Remember, we are simulcast, so if you're checking this out over on the G.I. Joe Gamer channel, pop over here for the main chat. Give us a like before you do, please. Yeah, no, same here. If you want to, you can give us a like on both channels. But most of the chat takes place over here on From the Hilt. We appreciate that. Oh, I forgot the peg hole on the top there. So you got 3 to peg spaces. I just all over the place with this character. There's so much to talk about, but we have, as I said, I'm going to take a look at these 3 dogs side by side. Here's the original, and then we've got the second one. And they're just such cool looking dogs. And let's see if I can do this without getting my big fat fingers in the way. We'll get all 3 of them up here on the screen. I just love it because you can say that they're all different dogs if you want to, or you can say they're all the same dog. So I have 3 different versions. Now there were, like I said, there were 4 versions of Law in the vintage line. Only 2 came with Order, which is the 2 I have, because I was like, it doesn't come with Order. I'm not getting that. It's not Law. This is Law and Order. It's supposed to be Law and Order, right? That's the theme. And then this guy who came out in the year 2000, and his trusted Order. And this guy came out in 2009 with the Attack on the Pit Headquarters 5-pack set of Joes. It was really cool. I love that one. And then they came out with 2 different versions of Law in different sets, which I never got, for the modern 25th anniversary line. And both those came with dogs, I'm pretty sure, with Order. All right, let me set these aside because that's Law and Order. But I do want to do a section on those hand signals. I do have a visual for you to look at when we get to it. Let me set these over so we can take a look at Big Boa for this mashup. That goes with this dog. I don't want to mix up accessories because I have painstakingly, I had them all mixed up as a kid, and as an adult, I've been trying to get them all matched up with each figure, and there are a lot, so it's kind of not easy to do. I still have all these bags and bags of accessories that I have to pair up with each figure, which is fun. But back to Big Boa. Now he came with this little hose on his head, which I lost years and years ago. There was a big, thick hose that pegged into the back of his head and in the front. So it's like, I didn't get it. It was kind of interesting, but he didn't come with a backpack or anything. He only ever came with gloves that used to have Cobra symbols on, but I wore them out in play. And I think he was a pretty cool looking figure. Now, This figure was originally supposed to be Rocky Balboa, but the contract with Stallone fell through, and he got his own toy line of Rambo figures. So they used the mold that they had for Rocky Balboa, turned him into a Cobra figure, and named him Big Boa, which I thought was actually pretty cool. Definitely a good use of resources for sure. But let's take a look at this box for the Classified series, because now they came out with a modern version, a 25th anniversary version of Big Boa, but I think it was only part of the Collectors Club. You're hanging out listening while cleaning up in the kitchen. Awesome. Betty makes some really good recipes on her channel on retirement days and comfort foods. So check them out. If you like food like I like food, you'll enjoy Betty's channel. All right, here's Big Boa. Now I liked this version of the boxes because they had artwork on the front, on the side, and then they had a picture on the back. I don't know why they stopped doing that. Cost cutting, I guess. But we'll get to that. But there's the thing on the side. He is number 114 in the series. There's the back. And yeah, he's got different hands and stuff. And it's gonna, I'll give you a look at him in just a minute. But this is such mean box art. I mean, they're knocking it out of the park on some of these box art. All right, so here is the Classified Big Boa. Very similar to the 1980. Yeah, there goes something. I got to drop something or it wouldn't be a Joe take, right? But like I said, he had the Cobra symbols on his hands, on his boxing gloves originally was white. They made them black on the Classified version. Well, that kind of like, I do. I think that's pretty cool. Now, it looks like his belt is on backwards, like you can fasten it on the back, but that's the way it goes. I do like the spiked harness that he's got. Now, not much protection in combat, but when you're training Cobra, he's the Cobra trainer. So when you're training Cobra troopers and Vipers, yeah, it wouldn't be very easy to get a hold of this guy if you were training with him. So yeah, smart aleck Cobra Vipers and Cobra troopers would have a tough time against this guy in the arena, as it were. Now, he came with alternate hands, and I'm only going to do one because they aren't very easy to pop in and out. It's like I want to display him with the boxing glove, but I'll leave him like this until I put him away. Which he came in the box with two hands, with the hands and not the gloves. I wish they would just have the gloves pop over his hands like the original does, because these just slide on and off, not very easily, but they go on really good. And then he just got regular G.I. Joe hands underneath, and you just pop his glove back on, and he's ready for battle. Now, like I said, you have the different hands. You've got the boxing glove, and then you've got the different hands. So he can use weapons. So you can display him with a rifle if you want, or you can display him like he's training. He's got bloody knuckles. Is that his blood or somebody else's? You don't know. He's a bad guy. He also came with barbells, so that you could display him like he's working out or something. Let me see if I can get one of these in the hand that he's holding, that he's got here, so I can pop it in there. Sometimes it's really stiff on these newer figures because I haven't had a lot of time to check out Big Boa yet. I've had him for about 6 months, six months, I think. And so, yeah, you can display him like he's lifting weights. Yeah. Like he's a big bruiser. All right, now my story for him is a lot different than the file card. I say he's the original Cobra trooper or soldier. I always called him a Cobra soldier. And I'm not the only one. They were called troopers in the cartoon, but they didn't start calling the figures troopers until years later, and he's their trainer. So there you go. I say he's the original soldier that is still with Cobra from the original class, or trainees, as Cobra Commander put it, and that he became their main trainer. And they made the original hose was like a gray color, but this one they made black, like the paint on the glove. I like that. I like the small, subtle changes they made. Very cool looking figure, but this is all I have to show you for Big Boa. But that's the mashup, you know, that's what it is. These figures are not used in media much as we get into talking about that. But before I do that, I wanted to do this bit on these hand signals that that Law came with. So cool, and so many. Came with 6 additional hands, all doing various hand signals, so that he could command the dog. Mutt came with these too, but I thought it would have been more appropriate to talk about this with the canine and the MP than with the dog handler and his dog, which is okay. You know, it depends on your perspective. I mean, Mutt is the OG, but he's a combat soldier who happens to be a canine trooper as well. He's not an MP like Law, but you got all these, like this one. You know, this could be used for a focus, or you know, down command, like sit down. You know, so yeah, it depends on what you're doing. But like I said, he came with all these different hands that you could pop in there, so you could display him. Like, see, there's sit. It could also be used for come. You know, and then he's got a fist hand, but that's for fighting. Also, that is a command too. If I remember right, it was heel, which heel means come to heel and settle down and come sit by my heel. Then you've got, you know, this could be sit, but it also could be stay, you know, leave it, you put it down. And my kid trains dogs, so Ben has given me a lot of help on this. As when I did my Mutt video, I talked to them extensively about this kind of stuff. And this is like down, focus, you know, it depends on how you want to display it. And then, you know, there's another one right here. This could be sit, you know, could also be, but just a tighter version of it. And there are so many different hand signals and stuff for training dogs and for obedience training. I thought it was pretty cool. I thought it would be important with Law and Order to talk a little bit about the hand signals, since they put such great care in giving them to you as part of his deluxe set with the accessories. I thought it was pretty cool, and I hope you guys did too. Now, as far as the mashup's concerned, before we start talking about these characters in media and my opinion, let's find out who they are in their individual file cards. Okay, let me turn this off here, and I will start with Law's file card, Law and Order, and then I will go right into Big Boa's.
G.I. Joe is the code name for America's daring, highly trained special mission force. Its purpose, to defend human freedom against Cobra, a ruthless terrorist organization determined to rule the world.
Yo, Joe. Code name. Law and his dog Order. MP and K9. File name. Christopher M. Levine. Grade E4 Corporal, U.S. Army. Birthplace, Houston, Texas. Primary specialty, military police. Secondary specialty, intelligence, security, tactics. Law worked as a prison guard with his canine partner. Order a rookie at the prison. Law is honest and fair. He refuses to join the corrupt warden and guards who hold illegal cage fights between prisoners. Law and Order encounter the renegades when Duke is arrested after being mistaken for a member of a chop shop ring. Law later worked in the military police before finally joining the G.I. Joe team. As a security specialist with his trained K9 Order, Law trains and oversees the troopers who guard the G.I. Joe pit headquarters from attack and intrusion. From Captain Falcon's files, Law and Order! were on my first short list of team members. So when I no longer had a short list, he was definitely one of my first choices. He can sniff out enemy positions lickety-split, walk the perimeter of a forced march like nobody's business, and find tripwires and other nasty surprises with ease. Order, on the other hand, does all of that faster and with less back talk. Yep, I'll definitely take the dog. Whoever heard of being shot down by a salad? Law and Order is a team, man. He finds the bombs and I drive the car. We tried it the other way around, but it didn't work.
G.I. Joe is the code name for America's daring, highly trained special mission force. Its purpose, to defend human freedom against Cobra, a ruthless terrorist organization determined to rule the world. Cobra. Code name Big Boa. Physical training instructor. Combat drill instructor. File name unknown. Birthplace unknown. Primary specialty physical training instructor. Secondary specialty mixed martial arts. Has a face that looks like it has been beaten with the proverbial ugly stick. It's no wonder that he wears a unique protective helmet at all times. However, he also benefits from all the cybernetic gadgets attached to it. Thermal heat sensors show him the weak spots on his opponent's body, while amplified hearing lets him know just how quickly their hearts are pumping, something that can be attributed to the fear of standing in his presence. Anyone that challenges him usually ends up eating the dirt at his feet. Cobra troopers can be an unruly bunch at times. They aren't motivated by patriotism, unit loyalty, honor, or sense of duty. It takes a brutal, unfeeling taskmaster to whip them into fighting trim, and Big Boa fits the bill to a T. He has a voice like a bullhorn, fist the size of frozen turkeys, and the disposition of a rabid grizzly bear. Bring me the toughest contender G.I. Joe has to offer. I'll show them what real fighting is.
All right, let's see. That was the wrong one. All right, so here's what his face looks like when you put the other head on there. I showed you the head, but I really didn't show it on the figure because it really matches up. And when he puts the helmet on, you know, he's got the matching spiked strip on his head that he does on his harness. I think that's really cool. It's a good, nice touch. And which on the original, it did a little bit, but not a lot. I mean, they were able to do so much more with this classified figure. But let me put the proper head back on him. This face is enough to scare you. They said Road Pig was ugly, but woo, this guy, they made this guy really ugly. All right, so there's there's your file cards. And that's who we're talking about here, Law and Order versus Big Boa. Now, we'll talk a little bit about them both a little bit, because in the comics, neither one of them was really in the comics much. I mean, Law had definitely more more appearances in the early days. I don't think Big Boa ever did until the IDW series. And as far as I can tell, the only two covers I could find with these two guys on it, Law on was issue 277 in the IDW series, Untold Tale. Not a very good cover. Doesn't look good to me at all. IDW isn't as big a company as Marvel, and sometimes. But then you look at this vastly superior cover, issue 297, Big Boa. I could only find one cover appearance for each one, and both were IDW. So there it is in the comics. And I have not had the fortune to read either of those books, so I really couldn't get Larry Hama's take on how he sees Big Boa. But Law, he was in issue number 60 when Law officially joined the Joes. His first appearance was with Chuckles, Lieutenant Falcon, and Fast Draw, which you don't ever see Fast Draw again except for like in one of his space missions, I think. And which is sad because a really cool character, but not much use for a Fast Draw missile guy. Not for like a jungle mission or an urban mission, an urban assault. So, and not a lot of situations where you could put a big missile specialist like Fast Draw. But Law, he guards the base. I mean, he's there almost always in the background. But in that particular issue, he and Falcon kidnapped Hawk from the airport because they had been recruited by a general in the Pentagon and were told that they were G.I. Joes, but yet they had no contact with General Hawk or any of the rest of the Joes. So they went and took Hawk from the airport and showed him what they were guarding and told him that they were, Chuckles came on and told him the whole deal because he discovered them. And so he helped them find General Hawk, and because Chuckles is an undercover guy. So Falcon, Fast Draw, and Law and Order were assigned to guard this big missile that was targeted to take out Cobra Island. And the Dreadnoughts showed up, and they had this big encounter with Monkey Wrench and Zanzibar and Tirana, and it was pretty cool. And Order just was all over the place, nailing these Cobras, and Law was, the Falcon was pretty cool too. And it was more about, to me, it seemed more about Hawk than it was the new guys, which I'm good with. I like the character Hawk, but at the end of the storyline, when Falcon was saying, "All right, are we real Joes now?" And Hawk said, "Yes, I'm going to officially make you all four," because he included Chuckles too in that at that point. He said, "I'm going to make all of you G.I. Joes," and then the Law said, "The dog too?" And Hawk said, "Especially the dog." So that's where the title of the song, "Especially the Dog," comes from, that I played at the beginning of the show and is out on both channels. So I want to take a little bit for Big Boa. He doesn't have. That's okay. What's up? What's up, Jess Laws? What are you saying ugh for? Hi. Good to see you, Jess. I'm still talking. I got plenty of Joe Take left for you, Jess. It's all good. But yeah, like I said, this was the only comic book cover I could find with Big Boa on it. Like I say, he was in the issues 1 through 55, which is what I consider the vintage line, the Marvel comic run of Larry Hama. But the IDW went from 155 and a half to 300. And then they started over on Skydance and Skydance. I think it's Skydance. In an Image, it's an Image title. Again, because it was Image for a while. But Larry Hama is writing it for Skydance now. And plus they have their own storyline, which they call the Energon line, which I haven't gotten into. I've got a few of them, but I haven't read any of them yet, which is kind of sad because, I took a look at it and I'm just, it's not Larry Hama. So, the meeting ran late, people talking about mother-daughter relationships. No worries. It happens, Jess. Life comes first. But, there's always the replay, but I doubt you'll watch it in the replay. That's okay. All right. So, as far as comic books, that was pretty much it for Law and Order. They had these small interactions here. Like one time, Larry Hama had Law calling Mutt so that Order could talk to Junkyard, and it was kind of silly but funny. And if you're a dog owner, you get that. I've had a few dogs in my life, but I've never been a big dog guy. But I do love the toys from the action figures, and I think Order is great. So much so that he's in my MAG campaign as he's one of the main characters that orders their dog now. So yeah, something happened with Law in that storyline, but you'd have to check out the military action game on From the Hill. So there you have it. Law is he's there a lot because he's the only dedicated MP. And I'll give my take on him and my opinion on him in just a bit. And Big Bo, it's just not there, not till later. Apparently, Larry Hama finally included him in the line, but I didn't ever read any of those, so I couldn't give a fair say on how Larry Hama took to Big Bo and wrote that character. Now, as far as the animated series, like I was saying, Law was in G.I. Joe, the animated movie. Just G.I. Joe the movie is what they call it, and I wish they'd have given it a better title than just G.I. Joe the movie, but they did that with Transformers too, the year before G.I. Joe. Transformers the movie and then G.I. Joe the movie. One came out in the theaters and G.I. Joe went straight to video for reasons I've already gotten into on other Joe takes, but suffice it to say, Law, to me, him and Jinx gave me a better impression than Falcon, who they focused on through the whole storyline. Just with being there and the subtle lines, and Jinx was just awesome, and she was fairly she was in it fairly throughout the whole story too. But Law was there, and every once in a while he just had these lines like he said, "Why don't you get that?" Beachhead asking why he didn't take care of the bomb, and he said, "Law and Order is a theme, man." And he had this Latino accent in the animated series, in the animated movie. He said, "He finds the bombs and I drive the car. We tried it the other way around, but it didn't work." And it was a great line, and I love that. And of course, Beachhead's counter was, "I hope you both get fleas," which, you know, you'd have to. There's so much good in G.I. Joe the animated movie, and so much like what the fuck, okay? And that's my best description for G.I. Joe the movie. I still like it, so there it is. I'm one of those. I'm one of those that like it. And later on, the helicopter got shot down by these organic vines and creepiness. And he said, "Who ever heard of being shot down by a salad?" So that's where those lines come from in the song. What's this suggest is saying here, didn't vote the poll because I don't know enough about them. People just vote for Order because he's a neat dog. You know, it's there for fun, and I was going to chat a little bit about it right now anyway. Yeah, I did it in today's mashup. Who do you think will come out on top? Not necessarily win, but on top. Law and Order, Big Boa, or Law by himself and Order by himself, okay? And I'll tell you my take on that. And clearly, we've had at least one vote for the dog, so by himself. Which Order's awesome. And so is Law. Law's a cool character. Like I said, he was my favorite from the 1987 line, even over Falcon and Jinx. I love Jinx, don't get me wrong, but Law is just a really cool character. Tunnel Rat, awesome. So many cool characters came out in 1987. He was in Joe movie too, so they all those three were. But Fast Star wasn't of those I've mentioned tonight. That was you? Okay. Are you sure? So maybe a couple people voted for the dog. Because I had votes for the dog before at least one before you showed up. So it might be two. Let me see. We've had 6 votes. That's pretty good for a Joe Take. I don't usually do polls on a Joe Take, but it's fun. If you're looking for the poll, it's over on From the Hill if you're over on G.I. Joe the Gamer account. Okay, so Big Boa. Absolutely no animated appearances. I did mention that Law was in the G.I. Joe Renegades earlier, so I didn't need to go over that again. But so yeah, Big Boa. So for me, when I wrote Big Boa in my G.I. Joe Lady Blood Right movie, I had no references for this character at all other than his file card. Like I said, knowing now that he was in an issue with Larry Hama, I want to acquire both of those issues and read them for Law and for Big Boa so I can get a better sense of those characters from Larry Hama's point of view. But from my point of view, I have a backstory for Big Boa that I gave him when I in play and when I write. And for Law, I don't really have a backstory. He's just Law. He's the G.I. Joe MP. He's the one thing I wanted to mention about Law is he's the only dedicated MP on G.I. Joe, which means he has to be a total badass because he has to wrangle those Joes when they get rowdy. If Hawk, Duke, Flint, Beachhead, whoever says, they need to go to the stockade, it's Law and Order that goes and that makes him go. So, yes, he's got the dog, but you don't want to order. You don't want to command the dog to attack your fellow Joes. So, he's got to be pretty tough in order to wrangle his fellow Joes. So, we're talking about not a wuss. All right. Couldn't possibly be a wuss to be the only dedicated MP on the G.I. Joe team. So, takes this Big Boa, who on the other hand is one of the toughest Cobras ever. It has to be. He trains them. He beats them into some, into shape, submission, as it were. And let me see. I'll have to get that message from Katie later. You are the Law, but you have no order. There you go. I have both. I have Law and I have order. I mean, I got several versions of both, as I've shown. Anyway, so now I'll give my take on the two characters. I'm going to start with Big Boa because, like I said, I have a much bigger backstory for this character from my own headcanon than I do for Law. I mean, as much as I like the character Law, Big Boa, I just felt needed more, and I made him the original Cobra Trooper, who throughout the years became the dedicated Cobra trainer. And he's just been in Cobra since the beginning. He trains all the troopers, which is why they're probably a bunch of unruly, not so tough guys. Even though he's tough, he just likes to beat them up all the time. He's a big bully. That's how I see it. This is a bully. This is your ultimate bully here, who was given the opportunity to actually not just be a bully, but use his physicality to be a bully on the Cobra Troopers and Vipers who he trains. And surviving that training period, you gotta learn something because Cobra Commander's not going to keep him around if he's not going to train the troops, at least in order to handle a gun and handle themselves in a physical confrontation. You're going to throw a random modern Joe soldier into your game because magic. That's funny, Chaz. Anyway, I saw him as I always had that. I had an original trooper figure and I had an original Cobra officer that I didn't even realize I had in my collection until I was going through some of my other toys and found, oh yeah, that's right. These are G.I. Joes too. When I was as a kid, I didn't know any better. I got them when I was 12 and I thought they looked cool. So I picked them up and I had them, and I wasn't collecting G.I. Joe at the time. And when I started collecting G.I. Joe, I was like, oh cool, I have two others, but I had already played with them and torn them up a lot, and they really haven't survived over the years. So I need another 1982 or 83. I prefer the 83 ones because they have the swivel arm battle grip, but either way would be fine with me. Cobra Troopers, I want a bunch of those, and at least one dedicated Cobra officer that is nice. Now I have multiple versions of them that came out later, but not the actual originals. And I would like to have some, and that would be cool. And then, like I said, this Cobra Trooper, who I called Cobra Soldiers back then, he was my Cobra Soldier. When they started calling him Troopers, I'm like, well, my original guy is still the Cobra Soldier. And he became Big Boa. And I thought it was neat that they brought out a character that I could use that they didn't seem to care about as the character I had in my head for the Cobra Soldier, because he would, in my storylines, he would train the Cobra Troopers even before Big Boa existed. And I'm like, it just matched up really well. And I was like, cool. Now my Cobra trainer has his own figure. And I was happy to get Big Bo, and not a lot of people were. I don't know why. I thought he's a cool character. 1987 was an incredible line. They keep saying that that's when the line ended, and I'm like, no, the line didn't end. It kept going all the way till 1994, and people keep saying, well, it jumped the shark in '89. It doesn't matter where it jumped the shark. It still went till 1994. 13 years. One of the, I think it is the longest running toy line back in the day. Now, of course, we've had Barbie. I'm not talking Barbie, but I mean, Barbie's been around forever, and that's why they brought out the Joes in the 60s. But for boys, in general, for people who like the combat soldiers, they had army men and stuff back in the day too. So the idea of G.I. Joe has been around for a long time. Hasbro just brought it to life in the 60s and then reimagined it and reinvigorated in the 80s with G.I. Joe, Real American Hero, and what we have now. And it's so cool that we have all these different characters that we can collect and talk about and play with and write stories for fan fiction, which I do. And because that's how I play now. I play in my head and I film them, and that's how I get that nostalgia for that. So Barbie would have more options than just Ken. Yeah, there you go. Yes. Barbie only finds G.I. Joe when they got a 2-day pass, But at any rate, so that's kind of my take on Big Bo. He's not hierarchy. He has the highest soldier rank, has to have. He's considered like a commander because he commands the training units. That's what he does. That's his job. His job is not to recruit the army. That's somebody else's job. Hey, Ronnie Trickshot, what's up, Aaron? Good day, my friend from down under. Good day, Ronnie. It's good to see you. All right, so I'm interested to know, what other people's take on Big Bo is, because not a lot of people seem to have one. It's a character that resonated with me in 1987, and so did Law, and that's kind of why I mashed them up. Also, because they're not very, they're not some of the more famous or popular Joes and Cobras, as it were. But that's my take on Big Bo. He's just the main Cobra trainer. He's a badass. I wouldn't want to run into him if I was a Joe. Something's going to get hurt, whether you win or lose. Still stinking hot. Yeah. Yeah, well, it's kind of cold here on our side of the world, my friend. But, that's how it works. Winter here, summer there, my friend. As for Law, now the reason why I saved Law to give my take last is because I don't think this character has had enough progression. And in my storyline, he's not around anymore. And if you want to know the reason for that, you'd have to watch my military action game, the first season of that, episodes 1 through 12. It's been way too cold in Florida. It's been way too cold in the United States, period. But yeah, for me, it's kind of normal. Winters in Utah are really cold. But anyhow, he started out as a corporal. I have since promoted him to yeah, it depends on my mood, but I think he should be a sergeant. If he was still in by now, he'd at least be some type of sergeant. He doesn't have a command perspective, so it's not necessary to promote him to sergeant unless you wanted to. It's a better pay. I mean, at least a pay grade. He would do it for the pay grade for sure. He's got to buy the Scooby snacks for order there, But I'm a Christopher. I mean, yeah, my nickname was Logan, but was the first character named Chris in the line too, and I don't know. They resonated with me. I mean, I think I'm a bigger Jinx fan now than I am of Law, but I definitely like Law more than Falcon per se, or even Tunnel Rat. Tunnel Rat's awesome. So he's up there too, But he had so many cool characters come out in 1987, which we'll go over during the mashup. But Law just to me stood out. He's my favorite from the 1987 line. I can't say Big Bo is my favorite for the Cobras, even though he resonated with me as my Cobra Trooper who became my Cobra Soldier who became Big Bo in my head canon, as it were. But Law, to me, it was always the dog. I mean, I thought Law was a cool character, but Order made him on a different level. He accelerated him from being a cool character to an awesome Joe. And you have a cool character paired up with a very cool dog, and you got an awesome set. And I think they really did a nice job in the classified line, bringing that out and showing you what they could do with this line with Law and Order. Very cool update. I'm digging the dog, digging the MP. And this update on Big Boa is just awesome. And that, my friends, is my take on Law and Order and Big Boa. So now we're going to jump into the mashup. And we'll start the mashup with this video right at y'all. Just getting these guys set up a little bit better for the mashup here. And I had to swap heads on Order to give him the mean look. And then I had to put the other boxing glove hand on Big Boa. Let me get some more music in the background here. All right, my friends, mashup. It's Law and Order versus Big Boa. And the poll is for you guys. And I will close that poll out here as soon as I go over things. Because, once you vote, you can't change your mind. So you might want to wait. But there's your basic Law. We know he's a badass. I'm pretty sure that flashlight is not part of the belt. And that I had to wedge it down in there. He does come with the handcuffs. So he can. I don't think these cuffs would fit on Big Boa, though. So, he'd have to have zip ties. Which I'm sure he does carry zip ties. Somewhere probably in his pouch right here on his belt, I'm guessing. That's also probably where he has his treats for Order. And then he's got his radio to call him for backup. He's got his pistol there that we'll check out right now. And we'll pop it out of there so you can see what kind of sidearm our friend has. He does come with the combat knife too, but there's no place to put it on the figure. So he does have a combat knife. Does have the sidearm, which is your standard, looks like a 9mm. And then you got they carried over the MAC-10, which is nice. I'm pretty sure that's what they call this weapon. This is the one that came with Snake Eyes Alpha Commandos. And that's pretty much the Uzi. They like the Uzi style weapon they like to use for these characters. It is not an Uzi though. Uzis are a lot more slimmer submachine gun. And then he's got the nightstick. So, he's got the baton, as it were. And this is one of my favorite actually types of weapons. It's so versatile. There's so much you can do with a baton that spins from the handle where it spins around. So you can do a lot of damage with these suckers. So, and then there's Order. I mean, with all the commands, we went over that a bit with the commands. And all the hand signals that he can do. He's got the harness to strap that to a vehicle, or like the Dragonfly. The Dragonfly can pick him up, and then he's got the handle here so he can keep a hold of the dog if needs be. And this is a better collar than the original. And I don't mind that he doesn't have a leash, because a trained canine would not need a leash. So, and he's not going to be in the field unless he's fully trained. And so there's your order, law and order there. Now, as far as Big Bo is concerned, that's it. I mean, yeah, he does have a gun. He does have the gun hands that look like he's gonna beat somebody up with them. They have bloody knuckles and everything. But you can put a weapon in his hand if you want to, and give him a weapon. But he didn't come with one. He came with the dumbbells. I mean, which is kind of cool, But they're displaying lifting weights, which is all right. But then you got, and he came with a punching bag in the original. I wish he'd have come with that in this set too. That would have been nice. But they didn't do that in the classified. They might do that if they do a retro. That would be kind of cool. Make them match the colors up better with the original. But I love this classified version. But this is it. You got him in the boxing gloves versus Law and Order with his arsenal of weapons, and there it is. So hand to hand, no contest. I think Big Boa is the bruiser. He could outlast him, has more stamina, and it would hand to hand probably be tougher. Now, gotta say, Law is one of the toughest Joes. Has to be to keep those Joes in line if needs be. So it's a really tough matchup. But to me, here's the deciding factor. That's my take on that. Big Boa looks like he just walked out of a gay bar. Well, it was the 80s, Jess. It was the 80s when they gave him his look. So here we go, pound for pound, Big Boa just, if you look at them side by side, we're going to put their battle stands next to each other so we can see how he towers over Law, okay? He's physically superior in many ways. But then you've got all of Law's arsenal. You've got his handgun, his sidearm. You got his combat knife. You got his nightstick. And handcuffs are no good against Big Boa, but he's got handcuffs. And then he's got order. So, you tell me in this matchup who you think would win. I'm going to put this pistol back in the holster on his chest. I love the fact that he's got the strap over the shoulder instead of on the belt. Or down here in the holster down there for his gun, because it makes more sense. If he's dealing with the dog, he doesn't want to have the handgun down by the dog, even though he's got the MAC-10 by the dog. Let me just make sure I'm using my terms right. And put that in the old Google, and yes, sir, that's exactly what I'm looking at. So I do have my terminology fairly consistent. Even though the MAC-10 even looks a little smaller, so just a bigger version of the submachine gun. The Blue Oyster Bar from Police Academy. That's what popped into my head, Jess. Popped into my front. Stargate. I'm still thinking Stargate terms, but anyway, there is your mashup between the two. And we've got the poll. I'm going to go over and take a look. If you haven't voted yet, vote now, because I'm about to close it out. We're going to close it out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And in the poll, and it looked very close. Hopefully it'll pop up in the chat there. It hasn't yet. It popped up for anybody else. In the From the Hilt chat, I do not see it. See if I can refresh it. Maybe that'll do it. Yes, there it is. Okay. In last place, Law by himself. Law by himself. No, not the winner. Okay. Let's see. Order by himself. Big Boa tied for second and third place. That's funny. And of course, the winner is Law and Order together. but by a narrow margin. It was 33% for these two, and 34% for Law. So a very narrow margin. Law and Order all together. So they're the winners in the 6-vote poll. Thank you guys for voting. It's kind of just silly. I just wanted to see what you guys' take was on it. You know, so like as I suggest a matchup. Even if you gave him a gun, I think Law and Order would take him down. So there it is. How does 6 votes end up? I don't know, Jess. 2 at 33, 1 at 0. Yeah, it doesn't add up, does it? Yeah. Well, actually, it does, Jess. 33 and 33 is 66. Plus 34 is 100. There it is. That does end up with the way it is. 6 votes. I don't know how that turned out. So I couldn't say, but apparently at least one more person voted for Law and Order together than just Big Boa and Law and Order separately. But Law by himself, yeah, in a fair fist fight between these two, I don't think Law would, I think he would stand a chance. But I think pound for pound, Big Boa would overpower him. But yeah. In the long run, with the dog and the arsenal, Law and Order beats Big Boa. Yes, that's 100, but it is weird. Yes, it is. I totally agree. It is weird. And they could have rounded up and down, Jess. Think about that. But, But apparently Big Boa by himself and Order by himself got the same amount of votes as the dog by himself. Whereas... if you will watch my on Joe Takes video here at the end, you will see what my final take on that was. Because I do have a little mock battle between the two of them with the figures, so that's all in the video. But before we hit that, we're going to take a look at this 1987 classified checklist of what we have in the line and what we need in the line.
G.I. Joe Classified Checklist. January 2026. For 1987. Let's see who we currently have in the classified series. The G.I. Joe team, Backstop. Chuckles. Crazy Legs. Falcon. Fast Draw. Gung Ho Marine Dress Blues. Hardtop. Jinx. Law and Order. Outback. Payload. Psych Out. Rumbler. Sneak Peek. Starduster. Steamroller. The Fridge. Tunnel Rat. The Renegades. Mercer. Red Dog. Taurus. Cobra Forces. Big Boa. Cobra Commander with battle armor. Croc Master and Fiona. Crystal Ball. Gyro Viper. Ice Viper. Raptor. Sea Slug. Techno Viper. Worms. Cobra Law Forces. Globulus. Nemesis Enforcer and not Nemesis Immortal. Royal Guard. Dreadnought Forces. Zanzibar. So to recap. Still needed in the classified series from 1987.
Come on, make the deal, Hasbro. I look sweet this way.
1987 carded figures still needed. Fast Draw. Gung Ho Marine Dress Blues. Psych Out. Sneak Peek. 1987 vehicle driver still needed. Backstop. Rumbler. Steamroller. The mail order figure. The fridge. Just shut the door on this one. It ain't happening. 1987 Cobra vehicle drivers still needed. Gyro Viper. Ice Viper. Sea Slug. Worms. We should easily get the Dreadnought Pirate Zanzibar. With or without his air skiff. But at least include his cool spear and war hammer, Hasbro. Can we get a G.I. Joe the movie accurate Globulus, Hasbro? Cobra Law needs its leader. It would be a pipe dream to think we'd get this incredible playset. Defiant Shuttle Complex. But Hasbro could give us Payload and Hardtop. But we all know that would only be included in the pipe dream.
In a pipe dream. I think we'll see Payload or Hardtop. Probably not. Unless they decide to get this classified series continues for quite a while and goes into I didn't even the Star Brigade. That's what it was called. I didn't even get into Star Brigade. It's Space Force, and that's kind of my take on it. That it would become part of Space Force, which you'll see in G.I. Joe Lady Blood Right. I do touch on that a bit, and so I do talk about it, but it's never was a big thing for me. The astronauts and stuff. That Globulus is really like half human, half yeah, he's a half snake. I wouldn't know if it's Cobra. He does have this big long snake tail. And in G.I. Joe the movie, the animated movie, I need to see that figure. Well, you know what? Maybe I will bust it out during the on Joe Takes when I play that video on Joe Takes 76. I'll break it out and I'll show you. I think he's right over there, and if I can get him real quick, then I'll show you. But he's a ridiculous looking figure. The whole Cobra Law kind of was originally Nemesis Enforcer, who they call Nemesis Immortal now for whatever reason. I don't know why. He came out great, both in the 25th anniversary line, which I have, badass. I have the original in that one. I do want the classified version of Nemesis Immortal. Yeah, it's awesome, and the Royal Guard is coming out, so that's kind of cool. So, and we already have Pythona, which we never had in the vintage line, but they did have a modern version of it, 25th anniversary version of it at a convention of Pythona. So they do have a couple versions of Pythona. Zanzibar, I think we should hands down get that, even with the air skiff. I don't see a problem with that. The Mamba helicopter, maybe. I mean, doubtful, but we got a Dragonfly and a Rattler, so maybe. I mean, it is conceivable. I love the dual rotor design on the Mamba. It was very cool. And Gyro Viper. The only way we'd get that is if we got a Mamba, so not likely. Same with the Maggot and the Worms, even though the Worms is a fantastic looking figure. He was the tank driver for the Maggot. But the Cobra Wolf, I see that. I see that happening. We've got an Arctic Hiss right now. They should have done the Cobra Wolf. I mean, they just cheaped out and gave us an Arctic Hiss. But you know, we could conceivably get the Ice Viper with the Cobra Wolf, but I don't see the Sea Ray and the Sea Slug character. As far as the Joes are concerned, I don't foresee a Rumbler who came with the RC car, the Crossfire. Steamroller, I doubt we'll ever see a mobile command center, so I doubt we'll ever see Steamroller. Same with Hardtop and the Crawler for the space shuttle. But the Backstop and the Persuader, maybe, not likely. It's not a very popular tank for G.I. Joe. Hello, Danny BP7K. Welcome in. So I'm just going to say, hey, Danny, down there in the chat. Talking some G.I. Joe here, and hello. Welcome in. Talking what could possibly be in the classified series from 1987. As far as Fast Draw is concerned, it's doable. I'd really like to see that figure. Gung Ho and Jurassic Blues. I think what they should do is a 2-pack of Gung Ho and Leatherneck in Jurassic Blues. That's what I think they should do. That's just me. But I know they're having issues with the U.S. Marine Corps and stuff, but I think they could make a deal and make that happen. I really do. They just have to put their minds to it. The government could just say no too. You never know. But promote the U.S. Marine Corps too. So who knows? It could happen. But as for Sneak Peek and Psych Out, those are okay characters. But I see them, if we ever get them, I see them coming out as Night Force versions first, because they were on the Night Force, which we don't have versions of them. We have lots of versions of Night Force characters, but not the original. There were originally 12 Night Force characters, 6 from 1987 and then 6 from 1988 in the opposing years, all the way to 1989, from 88 and 89 in the Night Force. So we may see those two and then as retro figures, but I seriously doubt it. It depends on how long this classified series goes on. 1987 for me is kind of the cutoff where I could do a checklist, because they don't have a lot of the 88 characters yet. Remember the G.I. Joe toys? Oh, dude, I love it. I have most of the original vintage line, except for some of the really big stuff, because I was always a broke kid. You don't understand why the government even should be involved? That's dumb. Well, it's because it's the Marine Corps, Jess. They'd have to get the license for the dress blues uniform. I believe they have that copyrighted. That's the scuttlebutt that I've heard on the subject, and I haven't really delved deep into it. So who knows? That could happen. But that's who we still need from 1987 in the classified line, and my thoughts on it. So that's my 1987 checklist. You know what, Jess? I'm going to put on that Joe Take, and I will go look for Globulus and see if I can find that figure. Not one I played with a lot. It wasn't fragile, but there were parts of it that just don't hold up. And so I just leave him I leave him where he's at for the most part. But you had to get a special stand to display him. He doesn't stand up on his own, and I'll show you why. Now, they had a design for him originally, but it wasn't very good. And then the bendy tail he's got, it's kind of ridiculous. So I think their issue with it right now is figuring out how to do it in classified where it works. To have an articulated snake tail for Globulus. I would love to see him come in a deluxe set with the big old his hover thing that he came with in G.I. Joe. Well, that he had in G.I. Joe the animated movie. I don't know how they would do it. It would kind of be cool, but they could do it. And then his tail could wrap around inside of it, however it does in our imaginations, I suppose. But all right, let me go take a look, Jess. I'll put on the Joe Take here, my on Joe Takes promo, and I'll see if I can find that Globulus figure to show you. And then I'll chat a bit, and we'll say goodnight.
Cobra called it graduation. Big Boa called it opportunity. Dust in the wind, boots on the move, vipers in formation, got something to prove. Big boy up front with them gloves on tight, teaching young snakes how to pick the wrong fight. They hit a research site under midnight light, steel doors, cold halls, bad intentions in his eyes. Recruits want medals, want stripes, want fame, but Bull wants something that'll change his name. He don't need a squad, he don't need a plenty, need one shot in his veins and a world in his hands, and he's smiling like a champion right before the bell rings. Especially the dog, he don't bark, he don't bluff. Big Bull won't want it power, but it ain't enough. You can juice up your fists, you get hard in your skin, but when the canine hits, that's the end. Slips inside while the rookies take heed of the jewels outside, putting snakes in retreat. He moves through the lab like a thief in a church, looking for the answer in a needle and a curse. Prototype injector in a locked glass case, Bull cracks that seal with a grin on his face. One shot, no hesitation, no fear, no doubt. That's how a monster gets built from the inside out. He drops it and he breathes it deep, he starts to shake. Muscles like steel, cables, veins like snakes, and he laughs in the mirror like, yeah, this is me. Then a voice behind him says, especially the dog, he don't bark, he don't bluff. Big Bull won't want his power, but it ain't enough. You can juice up your fist, you can harden your skin, but when the canine hits, that's the end. What? You were expecting Rocky Balboa. Swings first, balls crack, lights down. One glove's red, one glove's mean. Pain in his eyes, order hits low. Law, hold the line, no fear in the dark, no step behind. Bull's feeling strong, but he's losing control. They seal him, don't give you a heart, it takes your soul. And when that hallway echoes when the final growl, you learn one order means right now. Especially the dog, he don't bark, he don't bluff. Big Bull won't want his power, but it ain't enough.
All right, I did find those figures, Jess. I say figures because in 1987 they brought out 2 3-packs. One was the Renegades, Red Dog, Taurus, and Mercer. Now Mercer has already come out with Sergeant Slaughter, and Red Dog and Taurus are coming out this summer. Now they do have a retro version of the other 3-pack of this character right here, the Royal Guard. Now I put a little bandana cape on him. It's like so old now; it's very frail and could fall apart. But they had a cape on him in the movie, so I hope the retro version does have a cape. It also came with this massive, wicked-looking axe, which I do have somewhere, but I wasn't able to find it. Came with a little pistol. This is the Royal Guard from the 3-pack of the Cobra Law. Now, the other one they came out with was Nemesis Enforcer, is what they originally called it. Now, for some reason, when he came out in the modern 25th anniversary line, which I do have that figure, but I didn't want to dig around for it. It's with my 87 modern figures, my 25th anniversary. I like to call them modern figures. He came with these bat wings, and this little thing also goes on the back. Now, in the animated movie, he would throw them in the G.I. Joe, the movie, and they would wrap around Joe's heads. He did that to Sergeant Slaughter and then like beat the crap out of him. But he came with these bat-like wings. Now, I play with mine so much, I jacked it up, and it's barely holding together. Now, the 25th anniversary style one have these incredible, beautiful wings that spread all out, and then it's really cool. And when I get my Nemesis Enforcer classified someday, because it's very expensive right now, I just saw one going for $300. It's pretty crazy, but it's a deluxe figure, and it was only a limited time, limited version on Hasbro Pulse. Yeah. And I will show you. I'll show you the Globulus figure. Now the funny part, Jess, is, and you'll see right away why. But after I'm done talking about Nemesis Immortal, Nemesis Enforcer, I like to call him Enforcer because that's his original name. He has these elbow spikes, which they really sucked on this original figure, and he really doesn't look all that menacing and cool like his file card says he is. But the 25th anniversary figure looks great, and so does the classified version, and I want it really bad. That would be so awesome to get. But that's a Joe take for another day, hopefully. They called this figure Globulus the dildo figure, and I use the term lightly, and this is why we have a mature content warning, because sometimes we say shit on this show, because we like to say shit if we want to. But he came with this little red goofy gun, which I'm going to take out of his hand because it's being a pain in the butt right now. And you know, there's Globulus. But there is so much more to this figure, as you can see, and there it is. And now you know why they call it what I said earlier. But I'll show you some of the particulars of this figure. He's got this hideous arm that's like got all organic stuff on it, and he's got this bioorganic type bio armor, or living armor as it were, and bits and pieces, and he's got some kind of weird eye thing going on that in the movie Falcon actually threw this little baton thing and stuck him in the eye and poked that eye out. It was pretty awesome. There you go. Yeah, see, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. This figure, and it doesn't stand up on its own. It's just no way. It's just not, you know. I mean, there are ways to pose it because it's got this bendy tail, but I don't want to bend it because it's so old. I might break the metal inside. But, you know, it's one of those bendy toys, you know. And that is Globulus from 1987, and why we probably will not see this character in the classified line, but it would be funny and cool. They're coming out with everything else. He's their leader. We need to have their leader, right? But that's Globulus. That was my take on Law and Order, my mashup, and for him and Big Boa versus Big Boa, and the dog, especially the dog. Love me the doggos in the classified line. I mean, they're looking so cool. I mean, I loved them back in the day, you know. Like I said, I'm not a big dog person, I'm a cat person, so that was great when they came out with the Bobcat in 1988 with Spearhead. But there we are. Gotta love the doggos. And I showed off all the doggos most of my doggos in my Mutt video, which was a mashup earlier on this last in November for my Veterans Day salute. I did canines, and I did Mutt and Junkyard versus the Stinger and Driver. So that was a cool Joe take. Goofy looking tail, yes! Oh my goodness! I'll show it one more time. Wow, Globulus! This is Globulus. It's a wacky character. It really is. And when I put him away, it's funny because I have to just put him in the bag all the way through. And I don't think this is even his bag. Let me see which one. That's Nemesis Enforcer. I think this is the one I use for Globulus. So you can see it's all wet. Yeah. So when I put him away, I keep him in the baggie. But yeah, even on the back, he's got the crustacean armor, and you know, there were some paint apps on the tail too. It was kind of cool, but as you can see, out of these bendy segments, and originally they had these like little plastic segments that was gonna just move and bend, and that might have been better, but I don't think they had the technology to do it back then. Yeah, the goofy looking tail, but that's why they call it what I said, because I mean, take a look. I mean, in all its glory, this was Globulus. It's supposed to be a snake tail. Very interesting idea. Very how should I say? They were really reaching for what they could do. I'm looking for the word for it. But you know, they really didn't make it. They weren't really there for it. And you know, I think they could do it now and make a successful looking Globulus. But there it is. But this wasn't their episode. I might do a take on the Cobra Law later on down the line if we never get a Globulus. I might do a one for all of them, but I definitely want a Nemesis Immortal. I have Pythona. Very cool figure for the classified line. I'll grab up the Royal Guard because he's going to be on a retro card, so I'll probably get 2 of them. It didn't translate well into a workable figure. There you go. That was the problem. It was, oh man, I'm looking for the word. I struggle for the words, but my vocabulary is not vocabulary today. But here we go. One last look at our mashup tonight. Law and Order versus Big Boa. I say, chat says, Law and Order would win. So there we go. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Joe Takes. I'm going to call it a night here as far as being live. But thank you all for joining me. Thank you if you watch this in the replay. I hope you get a sense of the characters that I covered. We're from the hilt. We're monetized, so give us a subscription, subscribe, like, and all that good stuff on both channels, and share if you will. We would appreciate it. And we have a 0 budget around here, so we get a little bit every about 3 months from YouTube, but it doesn't pay for the lights, as it were. So any help, we have memberships and on From the Hilt, and you can do super chats and all that good stuff. And Joe Takes G.I. Joe Gamer channel is not growing, so I don't know what the deal with that is. So I have toned down. It is mainly just a shorts channel, so we'll see how that goes. But I do the live streams over there too. I simulcast because it's still my G.I. Joe channel, but most of our stuff is on From the Hilt. And so thank you. For all you guys do, just being here. I appreciate it that you listen to my ramblings on G.I. Joe, my Yo-Joe mashup, Law and Order versus Big Boa. That's been my 76 Joe Take. Like I said, next month I'm going to be doing the Dreadnoks. So I'm covering the sub team Dreadnoks. I try to close out a season with something big, and last year I did I think Python Patrol or Tiger Force. I think it was Tiger Force. And this year, I'm closing it up with Dreadnoks, one of my favorite. In fact, it is my favorite sub team. I dig the Dreadnoks so much, and I have all the classified figures out to date, except for the 2. There's 2 Zartans I don't have. I do have the first one they came out with. I don't have the Master of Disguise version, which was the deluxe edition, color change edition, as it were. And I do not have the retro Zartan at this time. Who knows in a month? I doubt it. But I do have, Zanya's coming out. I don't have her. And they've got the Zartan with the Ninja Force Zartan with the orange mohawk coming out this summer or later on this year. And I will talk about them. Zanya wasn't part of the vintage line, so I'm good with that. I have a Zartan, so I'm good with talking to the entire Dreadnought team. All they're lacking is Thrasher and then Zanzibar to have all the originals from the vintage line, and Burnout from the 2000s. Now, they did have a bunch of Dreadheads and Dreadnought recruits that they did for a convention, but I don't think they're ever going to bring those out in the classified, so I'm not worried about those. I never had them because I never went to any of the conventions. Unfortunately, I wanted to, just never got the opportunity to do that growing up and as an adult collector. But that's what's coming up next month. Got lots of Dreadnoughts for you, and I will do a Dreadnought classified checklist. I will do some research because there's Heart Wrencher. Zanya is Zartan's daughter. Yeah, she's the media for her is very limited. But yeah, they had some comics on her. But yeah, Zanya, however you want to pronounce it. She hasn't been in any cartoons or anything, or she may. I don't know if she's in the Larry Hama comic yet, but she may be. I know she's in the Energon universe, so we'll see where that goes. I'm not, like I said, I'm into the Larry Hama verse. I have all the, thanks to Per, I have the complete collection of the 155 issue run from Marvel. I do have most of those just regular comics instead of the Kickstarter set that Per gave me. I have that. So good. And so I thank him for that all the time, because I do appreciate it so much. His gift to me, that was an amazing thing. But Yeah, so that's what's coming up next month. Dreadnoks sub team, and then I'm going to take a break till June for Joe Takes, and then I'm going to be doing one a week all summer. So last week of June, I'll be doing the season premiere. I'm going to be looking at Short Fuse and Steeler, the 2-pack. So that should be fun for our season premiere. And then I'm kicking off I don't know what I'm going to do over the summer. It's not going to be G.I. Joe Lady Blood Right like I did last year because I still haven't finished. I need to do the end of that movie and get that movie out as soon as I can. And so that's what we got going on for Joe Takes. Now, on From the Hilt, we got Fridays this week, and we're going to be, our topic take is Olympus Has Fallen. We may have some games this weekend. We should. Let me look at my calendar here real quick. And then the next live that we have after our Fridays from the Hilt this Friday is the following Thursday next week. Radio from the Hilt will be back. So we're doing some stuff on our channels here, our 2 channels. So on G.I. Joe Gamer channel, the next live will be next month with the Dreadnought sub team. So Joe Takes 77. And on that note, my friends, I'm going to say goodnight. I'm going to play the outro, and I'll be with you in the chat till it's done. And then we'll see you next time on Joe Takes. Night.
Logan's room full of Joe Take dreams. Crimson Guard with eyes on the team. Snake Eyes silent and mean, but tough to rile. Roadblock rhymes and cooks with style. Duke as the first shirt, making with a plan. Cobra Commander schemes with his clan. Scarlet Sharp hits hard, flips fast. Destro's armor gleams from the past. Logan's G.I. Joe takes fierce and honest view. Red versus blue, it's up to you. Stay a while and listen for the consumerism. Logan's G.I. Joe's takes given with enthusiasm. Zartan shifting sneaks in disguise. Storm Shadow's blade cut through lies. Baron is cold with her deadly aim. Shipwreck laughs, wins the game. Doc's healing hand in the fray. Flint shotgun clears the way. Major Blood's battle cry echoes near. General Hawk leads, we cheer. From the Hilt on YouTube, tune in for a day. Joe Takes to help you with your play. Let's put these characters to the test. Logan's the G.I. Joe gamer, plays it best. Yo, Joe, Cobra, let's go. Let's go. Logan's G.I. Joe takes fierce and honest view. Red versus blue, it's up to you.